Welcome into No Punt Intended, presented by Club Fantasy. I am your host, Joe Zolo. It is Week 10 of the NFL season, about 4 or 5 games, depending on your league, away from the fantasy football playoffs, so these could arguably be the most crucial weeks leading up into your league's playoff season. Joining me, as always, Joshua Hudson and Ryan Weiss. And joining us quickly to start the show to settle a beer bet is one Mr. Jon Helmkamp, the Dynasty Beard, who joined us last week. And joining us for the entire show this week is Kyra. I am not even going to pronounce your last name because I heard we have been pronouncing it wrong the entire time.
Oh, wait, I know.
Go ahead.
You want to try?
Wiaterowski.
Hey!
We're very spot on, close, but I figured I would give everyone the rundown. It's 3 syllables, Wiaterowski.
Wiaterowski.
Yeah, the Polak last names, really.
Very Polsky. Very
So-
Polsky.
We got Kyra right, and I was really proud of that because
There
most
you
people
go.
call me Kyra, so
Yeah, Ryan.
probably
Done
everyone.
that once or twice.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So
Literally
whatever
everyone, so don't feel like you're out of
I never feel bad. Don't worry about it.
Okay, good.
whatever your brain says in Kira's last name pronunciation, do the exact opposite because it's not what you think it is.
Yeah, it's never as it seems, those
Yes.
Polish last names.
But last week, our lovely friend John here, and Faith is already asking, John's on 2 weeks in a row. Hold on, Faith, he's here to settle a bet. If you watched last week's show,
Easy, Tiger.
yeah, if you watched last week's show, you heard John make a bet with Josh,
Yes.
saying that he thought Cam Newton would be benched for Jarrett Stidham in
Yes.
the game against the New York Jets. I, as a Patriots fan, told John that he smoked a doobie before he came on because there's no way in hell that's going to happen. Cam Newton could throw 5 interceptions and still see the field. Ended up winning the game despite Cam Newton.
Can we acknowledge that the youngest among us just said smoked a doobie?
Smoke a doobie. You're welcome.
How old are you? Like 64? Damn. Like, you need some doobie
I think
brothers in
that's
the
how you know that
background,
Joe
but-
doesn't smoke.
Yeah,
No.
exactly.
No.
I gotta keep you on your toes. But so John obviously lost the bet. So
I
it
did.
is now time for John to quote unquote pay up, even though
Yes.
there's no money involved. It's a
Only
singular
alcohol.
beer. What is your beer of choice, John?
Well, since this isn't for pleasure, I'm just going with a Miller Lite. I have
Miller Lite, sponsor the show.
Having a quick water.
having a quick flavored water before I enjoy some adult beverages for the evening.
There you go.
That's it. Yeah, I mean, just to give a 30-second soundbite, Cam has been looking just absolutely terrible since the COVID diagnosis, since everything that went on there and him coming back. I know it was the Jets. They still almost lost that game. I really don't feel like I was too terribly far off, like 1 or 2 other plays that break the Jets' way, and, he throws a couple picks. Maybe there was a chance that they turn to Jarrett Stidham and see what they've got. They've got Cam only on a 1-year, very inexpensive prove-it deal. Right now, he's not proving it. I thought that they might take a look and see. You're now a 2-win team, 2-6 now.
3
Right.
and 5, I think.
Or 3 and
Or
5, or whatever it is.
the 3 and 5 because they actually won that game. I was already registering as the loss number. But they're so far out of it. They've got absolutely zero chance at even making the playoffs. Before you cry yourself to sleep, Joe, you had 2 decades of success, so I don't want to hear it. But
He's fine.
so yeah, I think at some point this year they are going to see what they have in Jarrett Stidham before they decide what they're going to do going into next season. I thought there was a chance it happened this week, and I was wrong. So I am here briefly just to pay up, and okay.
Cheers.
Thumbs up.
Cheers. I
There you
have my water in my flower cup.
Yes.
Because that's what we're doing here. As
Joe's
John,
stuck between 2 Eagles fans right now, so he loves it.
there you go. As John does a great job chugging right there. He's already
Oh.
get in a word. Congratulations, that was amazing.
You're a champ, John.
Yes.
Please hold.
Perfect. Classy.
Better.
So sexy.
Oh yeah.
But,
I'm here for the sex appeal, Josh. That's what I do.
yes. Something to add on as we're talking about this game. Obviously, me being the resident Patriots fan, I was watching this game very closely from both sides. The Jets gave away that game. The Patriots did not win that game. The
100%.
Jets gave away that game on multiple occasions, starting with Joe Flacco, horrible clock management, and then 12 men in the huddle on a field goal? Who does that? Like, what?
You have
two
you
holders.
have one package. You have one package that is your field goal team. Like,
Who
you're
got
either in
confused?
that package or you're not.
not.
Like, who are we subbing? Like,
Why are you running out there?
I don't understand.
It's like the Jets gave it away, and I said it I said it before the game. I said it to start the game. Joe Flacco shreds the Patriots. He could be 85,
The elite Joe Flacco.
85 and in a wheelchair, and he'd still throw for 300 on that team. It's ridiculous. He plays so well against that team. And I'm not going to lie, I was more scared to play Joe Flacco than I was if Sam Darnold started. If Sam Darnold started, that was a 30-3 game, no doubt in my mind. Joe Flacco started, that's a reason why the Jets put up 27.
There you go.
Legitimately.
He throwing bombs out there. He looked good.
Flacco looked like 2011 January Joe Flacco. Unbelievable. So, there's your quick word on that game. Absolute hard. I bet on the Jets. I wanted the Jets to win because I want Cam Newton benched. I will say that openly, have no problem with that.
Yeah, I think you said that going into the game. So.
God.
I did read that he's sore from the huge hit that he took, so maybe they'll give him some rest for you.
Kyra, I was telling John this last week, they hate Jarrett Stidham so much that Cam Newton could turn the ball over on every single drive, and they would rather trot out Julian Edelman at quarterback than Jarrett Stidham.
To be fair, Julian Edelman might have been a better college quarterback than Jarrett Stidham.
It's very true.
Valid.
This is very true. Very, very true. All right, John, well, thanks for joining us for the first 7 minutes.
Yeah,
we
man.
appreciate you.
Happy to be here. You all have lots of fun. Where can I go find this live to watch it?
You can find it on Periscope, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook Live.
You see what I did there was I gave you a little underhand toss.
Thanks, buddy.
So that you could
Just
just
serve it up
out
so we
of
can
there.
knock it out. There you go.
All right. Well, you guys enjoy. You three hooligans, whatever, don't really care. Kyra, have fun. Do a great job.
John, I
You'll be
appreciate
fantastic.
I'll do my best.
I believe you. All right, guys. Y'all have
She's
fun.
the star of this episode anyway. So.
Oh, already.
John.
Already. All right, guys. I'll catch you later.
Thank
Take
you,
it easy,
John.
bud.
Bye.
All right, bye.
All right. So to start the show here, obviously we have our normal upsides, downsides, stream of the week, and we start off with our 3 up, 3 down. We normally start off with quick news and thoughts. All it says here is news.
Yeah, I honestly totally forgot.
Yeah.
Hopefully there's no important news this week. So
Roethlisberger was on the COVID list.
Mecole Hardman got put on COVID list.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but who cares about him?
Baker
That's
returned to
it.
practice today.
Oh, yes, big. Yeah. That's there you go. That's it.
Kenyon Drake resumed practicing, I believe.
Yeah, I saw that.
That was one.
A bunch of people that perennially disappoint us in fantasy this year.
Yeah,
So.
they're calling Chris Carson a true game time decision. I think that's a big one. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Trevor Bauer won the NL Cy Young Award. There's your
Okay.
news that just popped up across my phone. If you heard the ESPN notification, yeah, there wasn't a lot that has happened essentially this past week. But starting with the 3 ups, Kyra, Jacoby
Yeah.
Myers, who was the entire New England Patriots offense, DJ Chark, a welcoming surprise with Jake Luton at quarterback, and Kalen Ballage. That hurts. That one really hurts.
That
Kalen
one hurt
Ballage.
bad if you were a Justin Jackson owner like myself.
Yeah.
Because you just didn't know what the hell even happened. Or
three
why.
snaps, no touches.
It's like, wait,
Absolutely
why is
painful.
Kalen Ballage out there and what is going on? Because it was definitely, I didn't even know he got hurt initially. I had no clue. I learned that once Kalen Ballage just wouldn't stop going off.
Speaking of things we didn't know, did anybody know Kalen Ballage was on the team before Sunday?
I honestly stopped paying attention. I turned off all Google alerts with Kalen Ballage years ago.
No clue he was even on the team. So very, very.
He was actually on the practice squad, not the team,
There you go.
and then got called up right before the game.
Another
Interesting.
victim to Adam Gase that just came out
Yeah.
and showed
Twice.
that he wasn't so bad.
Oh, very, very tough.
I mean,
Ryan.
Jacoby Myers this week, he was definitely easily our waiver wire darling for sure. It seemed like he got like 90% of the targets in that game. I didn't even think anyone else caught a ball.
Jacoby Myers was the Calvin Johnson of that game, essentially. It was ridiculous.
In my notes, I just put he's what everybody wanted N'Keal Harry to be.
Yeah.
And the funny
Sad
thing,
face.
and the funny thing is, he had immense drop problems his rookie season and this entire offseason.
Yeah.
So the fact he wasn't dropping the football was incredible. I was very happy to see that.
And there's no reason he's not going to be a target monster moving forward. Is the thing. So
He's shifty as hell. Like he's a beautiful route runner. Understands where to go. The only issue was and why he wasn't getting a lot of playtime was his drops. But clearly something has been fixed the first half of this season.
Yeah, something lit a fire up under him. He had 14 targets for 12 receptions, 169 yards. I think he just missed a touchdown, too. He could have had a huge stat line that day. So.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic job. Ryan, you also have Myers as an upside. You also have Josh Allen, who found out how to play football again. And J.D. McKissick, welcoming surprise. I was like 3 or 4 weeks early on J.D. McKissick being an upside, so that hurts. Josh, Irv Smith, 2 catches, 2 touchdowns. Christian Kirk, he's been looking good, getting a lot of good rapport with Kyler Murray the last couple weeks. And Duke Johnson filled in for David Johnson.
Finally.
After
They've
about
unleashed
time,
the Duke.
about
The youth
damn
leading
time.
rusher.
About damn time. Myself, Dalvin Cook for 2 straight weeks. Thanks for the 48 points once again. Appreciate you.
Ridiculous.
I have Kyler Murray and Dalvin Cook and DK Metcalf stacked in a league, so that's an easy 150 each week. Cam Sims, not Steven Sims, as Ryan and I would have liked to think before the season. Cam Sims. I thought it was a typo on Red Zone when I saw C. Sims 160 yards or whatever. Nope. Wasn't a typo. Had no
And he
clue.
did it on like 3 catches.
Yeah, it was 3 catches. Ridiculous. And then Garrett Gilbert didn't look terrible. Right? Made some obvious first game jitter mistakes. But
I mean, when you're playing against the Steelers defense and you look like that for, he hasn't even played an NFL game, correct? Not
that
even
was his first NFL game.
Yeah, that's
But he lit it up in the AAF.
For that.
He did light it up in the AAF.
There must be something to hiding who your starting quarterback is until game time.
I think Gilbert played well, and I also think that the Steelers are a fake 8-0, but we'll get to that later. 3 downs. Kyra, DeAndre Hopkins, yeah, that's a big one. Only 3 catches. Tyler Lockett only likes playing the Cardinals, and James Conner. How about the Steelers in general? What a terrible showing against the Cowboys, but James Conner. Ryan doubling down on DeAndre Hopkins and James Conner.
Yep.
And then throwing in Robert Tonyan, 1 catch, 5 yards. Josh, Tom Brady. I second that. Corey Davis.
I third that.
Zeros.
That hurts
Hunter
somewhere.
Henry, 4 catches, 33 yards. At this point, Hunter Henry doesn't look like he's going to amount to anything at this point. Myself, I have the entire Tampa Bay Buccaneers as a team. What the
happened?
hell was that? I mean, they make Taysom Hill look good, and Adam Trotman scored a touchdown on them. Ridiculous. Trey Burton, what the hell? And Cam Newton, I'm done. Move on. You're washed. That's all I have to say. Cam Newton should not be playing quarterback in the NFL anymore.
Hey, he finally came out and said, "I'm tired of sucking." So maybe that'll do
Hey,
something.
that's great. Can't
Because
wait.
apparently he didn't realize before that he was sucking. Like,
Maybe
what the hell?
maybe he'll just retire and Joe will get his wish.
Great. I'm so happy Cam has decided that he's tired of sucking. I need concrete steps to get to the part where you're good again, Cam, because you haven't been good since 2015. It's been a while. All right. So I'm scrolling back through here, and I'm trying to find our first question from Sean, who runs the show, essentially.
Yeah, it's a big lineup question. He wants us to set his entire lineup.
All right, so we're setting Sean's...
He's hurting, man. He's tired of losing, and I don't blame him. I would be too.
I feel you, buddy.
Or in the
Okay.
words of Cam Newton, tired of sucking, maybe. Sean, I don't take that disrespect.
So
There you go.
So we're literally setting his entire lineup. Okay, let's start with the quarterbacks. Tom Brady or Ryan Tannehill.
Oh, jeez.
Can we pick someone else up?
Nah, you still roll with Brady.
Are there any streamers?
I would not roll with Brady.
You don't want to play Tannehill against the Colts either.
I wouldn't want to do that. I mean, it is Thursday, though, and all bets are off. Like, every good matchup is terrible, and every terrible matchup's good.
Well,
so.
I'll jump ahead to my downside, who is Tannehill.
I'll
Fair
jump
enough.
ahead to my downside, who's Tom Brady.
Well, just real quick.
We're not helping Sean very
But no,
well
I just
here, guys.
The Colts are great at stopping wide receiver ones, tight ends, and the running game. That's all Titans have.
Yeah,
Ryan Tannehill is
that's true.
fucked.
Yeah, look, if you're picking the lesser of two evils, I would pick Ryan Tannehill in this instance. But if you can pick up, spoiler alert, a Jared Goff,
Yeah.
or a Drew Lock, someone like that, I would recommend one of those guys if you can pick them up. But
Yeah.
Ryan Tannehill, to me, is, I think, the lesser of two evils at this point. Tom Brady had 10 points week 2 against Carolina, and that was at home. 10 points.
Are you expecting more out of Ryan Tannehill this week than 10 points? Because you're about to be disappointed.
I guess I'd pick someone else up. Pick someone up.
This does feel like a week to stream.
Yep. Running backs. Nick Chubb, is he back?
They'll make the decision on Friday.
Yeah,
Okay.
they said Friday is the big day for that.
Okay.
Even then, I think the Hunt is an absolute smash start.
Oh, yeah, if
100%.
Chubb doesn't play, Hunt is a smash start.
Even if Chubb plays, Hunt was actually scoring almost 4 points per game more in PPR with Chubb in the lineup versus out of the lineup.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Josh Jacobs, Jonathan Taylor, and Zach Moss. He needs 2 running backs at that point. I would probably lean Josh Jacobs in that instance against Denver. Home.
I need to see what the matchups are. For some reason, I just can't remember them right now.
JT is in Tennessee. Zach Moss is in Arizona. The Browns boys are
Jacobs
home
is
against
Denver.
the Texans, and Jacobs is home against Denver.
Yeah, honestly, if Chubb plays, I would start both Chubb and Hunt.
I was going to say, you play them both against.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
I think you'd be fine there. If Chubb doesn't play, I think I would pivot to Jacobs.
You almost have to because you're
Yeah.
making the decision to not start Taylor tomorrow night. So
Yeah, which I would not do anyway.
Yeah.
He hasn't
don't
looked
start
good.
him.
It's
Yeah.
not a great matchup, and Frank Reich doesn't seem to want to play him more than Jordan Wilkins, which I don't know why. So
no RB for the Colts saw more than 34% of the snaps last week. So
Absolutely ridiculous. All right, to the wide receivers here, needs 2 of them, and you can add a flex if you would like. Terry McLaurin, Tyler Boyd, Robert Woods.
yeah,
Can
all 3 of them,
start all
fire
3
them
of
up. Yep.
But, yeah, great matchups.
Yeah, start all 3 of them, put one of them in the flex. And then for tight end, you're looking at Noah Fant. Oh, his other option, Jacoby Myers. Don't play Jacoby
Nope,
Myers.
You got your 3.
Yep.
Baltimore.
And then the tight ends, Dallas Goedert or Noah Fant. I don't think you're sitting Noah Fant.
No,
personally.
and Albert O, who was vulturing touchdowns, is out for the season, so that makes things even better for Fant.
Yep, Noah Fant. Obviously, Dallas Goedert's great, but no.
yeah, I mean, definitely with the ankle's iffy because I feel like he gets knocked out of like every other game with
That's
that
the issue.
Yeah.
He actually ended up coming back into this most recent game, though. He went out and came back in. So
Yeah. I mean, I do like Goddard this week. I mean, we saw what Richard Rodgers did a couple weeks back against the Giants, which I was a little shocked by because Giants have actually been good against tight ends. And I said that on the show. But Fant seems to be a favorite of Drew Lock up into going into last week. He was leading the team in receptions and yards.
Yeah. Yep.
and Chargers are better against wide receivers than they are tight ends.
Correct.
And John comes in. Kyra, he wants your thoughts on Travis Fulgam this week.
I'd be firing Fulgam up for sure. I mean, he's been playing lights out. He may get shadowed by James Bradbury, but I don't see that being an issue for Fulgam. He's really been playing, not to say elite, but he kind of has been. He's been really good. time. Even with getting Rager back and Dallas Goedert, I think that he's still gonna put up points, still gonna put up the production that he's been.
I want to know why everyone's treating James Bradbury like Darrell Revis. He's James Bradbury.
Yeah.
It's not that he's Darrell Revis. He's been playing well.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm not saying that he's like a top 3 corner, but he's been playing well, and number 1 wide receivers haven't had like boom weeks against the Giants.
And the other thing is if you can avoid him, why not? And you're going to have Rager, and you might even have Alshon Jeffrey back this week.
That does worry me.
Jeffrey's not going to do anything, in my opinion.
Thank you, Kyra. Alshon Jeffrey's won.
That's the thing. I don't think he'll do anything. What worries me is that Doug Peterson has this penchant for veterans. I mean, we've seen it with Jason Peters.
Yeah.
Like, he keeps going to Peters no matter what. And it's like, dude, make up your freaking mind. These guys are washed. Stop playing them. Play the guys that are performing.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you there. I mean, Alshon Jeffrey, he hasn't even played a football game in God knows how long. So
and Wentz loves him
like
in the red
84
zone.
years.
So one over on Twitch from 44. I can assume that's Michael or Mikel, looking to package Rashad Higgins and RT.
Is that Rashad or T?
Yeah. I think T would garner. My guess is T Higgins and DJ Moore for 1 wide receiver. Any suggestions?
One of the elites at that point. I mean, if you're going to give up 2 of those guys, I would shoot for someone like Hopkins or
Terry McLaurin,
Allen Robinson.
Yeah, I think Terry
Cooper Kupp maybe.
I think Terry McLaurin's a good one because for some damn reason, everyone has the question now of this point is, can I start Terry McLaurin? He has proven to you every single week this year. We've said it on the show. We've had him as a downside. We've said, be wary of McLaurin because of his matchup. He beats his matchup every time.
Yep.
James Bradbury. How did he do last week against Terry McLaurin? Pile of shit is what he did. Terry McLaurin roasted him.
Yeah, that's because Terry McLaurin is a goat. He's too good.
Yep. Well, you probably have a frustrated.
Literally, he's just matchup proof, quarterback proof.
And then you probably have a frustrated DeAndre Hopkins owner, and you probably have a frustrated Tyler Lockett owner right now too.
I mean, you could even try. I mean, if you have a desperate Michael Thomas owner.
Very true.
Yeah, there is some very desperate.
Because they probably took some L's while Thomas was out. So
he came back. He didn't have a huge monster game, so maybe they're thinking
that's a great one.
He has a nice schedule coming up. So I've been trying to trade for Michael Thomas a lot.
Yeah, I actually just got him in one dynasty league. Him and a 2nd-round pick for Lamar Jackson.
Yeah,
steal.
Nice.
Utter steal.
Yeah,
one quarterback league, mind you, not super.
Buy low. It's great buy low.
But Joe, for the record, Bradbury only gave up 1 catch for 11 yards when lined up against Terry McLaurin. So he was doing his damage against other corners.
Yeah.
Just letting you know.
Cool. So what you're saying is James Bradbury doesn't travel with the best receiver? Cool. That's what I'm hearing. Great. So Travis Fulgham's going to light him up. That sounds good. Sean adds those QBs that we were saying about for him to potentially pick up. Cam Newton, take him off the list. Sean, why'd you even say the name, buddy? Come on, you know what I'm going to say. Matt Stafford, Baker Mayfield, Derek Carr, Tua, Alex Smith, and Jake Luton.
I'm going to go on record. I love Tua this week.
Yeah, I think Tua. I don't mind Derek Carr either at home against the Broncos. I think that's a good matchup.
Baker at home against Houston, I think, is a huge play this week.
Should be. I agree.
Honestly, but between Tua, Derek Carr, and Baker Mayfield, you have 3 good prospects. So just,
cut Tannehill, grab one of them.
Yeah. Pick your poison, grab one of them, whoever you feel most confident in personally, because we all think they have some solid matchups. From Guillermo over on Facebook, Kenyon Drake, David Johnson both hurt. Who are you looking at for waiver pickups potentially at the running back position as we all scramble to look at who is available in most potential leagues? Ryan,
I'm just going to grab my article real quick.
I know my personal running back waiver this week is definitely J.D. McKissick. If he's still out there, I'd be definitely trying to look for him first.
Duke Johnson.
Yes, Duke Johnson.
Yeah, Duke would be another one. I think a lot of people kind of, they dropped him after drafting him because he just hasn't been anything. So I don't know if he's still available after now that waivers have cleared.
Yeah.
Zach Moss is another guy that's still out there in quite a few leagues.
Yeah.
And he's getting the bulk of the work opposite Singletary. So, I mean, there's definitely options. There's not a ton of options, mind you. I mean, running back is just it's like a death zone on.
But as ridiculous as this sounds, go look right now. I've been doing my Stream of the Week article for, 10 weeks now. I have never seen roster percentages move in 2 to 3 hours like they did today. I make a rule for myself that my players need to be available in 50% of leagues in either Yahoo or ESPN. Half of my Stream of the Week guys are no longer available in 50% of the leagues. People are very active right now on waivers. And the other thing is, pro tip, look to see who they cut to go grab the flavor of the week. There might be a new guy sitting on waivers that wasn't there when this whole thing started, that they got upset and cut, and that could be a guy you could look to add.
Correct. From our buddy Troy. Hello, what's up?
What's up, Troy?
So we're playing Jon Smith or
he had to
Eric.
grow the beard back. He wasn't digging the mustache anymore.
No. He's asking, are we playing Jon Smith or Eric Ebron this week? I think
Ebron.
Ryan answered your question a little earlier. Is that the Colts are very good against tight ends, so it's Eric Ebron. Also,
Not on top of that, Cincinnati is not good against tight ends.
Yes.
It's an easy run out for Ebron.
Bengals have allowed the second most fantasy points per game to tight ends, and Ebron has 3 straight games with over 11 fantasy points.
and Jon Smith saved his day last
with
week
a touchdown.
with a late touchdown.
Yep.
So
disappointing he is.
Yeah, try to trade him.
yeah,
Yeah,
I already got Jon Smith off my roster. Don't you worry. He is long gone. Package him in a deal for Zeke. Hopefully.
Yeah, I think Jonnu, and on top of that, another one is Robert Tonyan is showing us why when we hit these flash in the pan tight ends, we need to be willing to trade them and not grasp onto this hope that there's a new elite tight end.
Correct, because we've seen it in the stats. It's Kittle, Kelsey, Waller, and a huge drop-off from that point. Hawkinson and Fant are in Tier 2, and then Tier 3 drops to guys like Eric Ebron. That's a giant drop at that point.
Yeah.
And I want to throw one out for myself here, because I think this is interesting having a couple Eagles fans here in the panel. So, and it's also interesting because this is Kira's upside running back. Chase Edmonds, Josh Jacobs, or Jalen Reagor. Keep in mind, I have Travis Fulgham in my lineup currently.
Go ahead, Kira. I'll let you go first.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I don't think I would be playing Chase Edmonds until I hear more about Kenyon Drake's situation.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know I talked to Josh about it a little bit. He thinks that Chase Edmonds could still do good with Drake in the lineup, but I just don't feel half as confident. I'd rather play someone like Josh Jacobs in that case. And, I mean, you're probably hoping for a touchdown because Denver's pretty good against the running back position. If Jalen Reagor gets more work, though, then, I mean, I think he's going to be a stud, but I don't want to be biased here. I'd probably go Josh Jacobs, honestly.
All right, Josh.
Jacobs for the floor, but I think if you're chasing upside, I would absolutely roll with Reagor.
Yeah.
Because I think that he has that potential. They're going to pay attention to Travis Fulgham. He's been a legit top 15 wide receiver in fantasy and really in the NFL over the last 4 weeks.
Yeah.
So why would they not shift the safety his way?
Sure.
But then you have to account for the speed of someone like Reagor. And we saw opening week, they were trying to get him involved downfield. They threw a 55-yard bomb to him and he caught it.
Yep.
They tried a couple shots in week 2 before he got hurt. They just weren't connecting. They went away from that a little bit last week. They didn't test him too much. He did catch a touchdown. But I think that's really what they want to do. They want to have Reagor as the Z. They're going to put Fulgham as the X. Now, again, this obviously is without D-Jax and Jeffrey in the situation. But if they move forward with that setup, that's the type of routes right now that Reagor is going to run. It's going to be a lot of the deep shots that's going to keep the defense honest. So if they're running those types of routes, then they might be forced to throw a safety that way. But I don't think they're going to do that right away. So that increases the upside for me with Reagor.
Sure. And you talk about, I don't think I'm going to chase. I have Kyler Murray, Dalvin Cook, Metcalf, and Woods, so I think I'm fairly safe.
Yeah.
In terms of,
I'm starting both of them in a number of leagues. In 2 or 3 leagues where I'm starting them together, I would go both Eagles wide receivers.
yeah, I just realized I have both Eagles receivers and Dallas Goedert. It's painful that I have this many Eagles on my team and that I like this many Eagles. I don't. It's weird.
Which is really sad considering how bad our offense is.
Yeah, I know. I know. It's Josh. It's painful that I have these guys on my roster.
But we're getting healthy, damn it! That's all I care about.
I was talking to someone this week, and I said, I love every weapon the Eagles have and hate Carson Wentz.
He finally gets the weapons, and he's just destroying his opportunity to prove
Yes.
how good of a quarterback he can really
He's
be.
literally fumbling it away right now.
Oh,
Very
my
true.
God.
All right.
He's overthrowing it. He's doing everything else but what we thought he would do. So
Correct. All right, into our upsides, downsides here. As always, I'll run through them and start picking people out of a crowd. John last week was 1-3, so Kyra, that's what you have to live up to here for the upsides.
All right.
Jared Goff, home against the Seahawks. Chase Edmonds, and there's an asterisk as long as Kenyon Drake is out. He's home against Buffalo. John Brown is in Arizona. And Evan Ingram is home against the Philadelphia Eagles. Ryan, you were a clean 500 last week, 15-20-1 overall. You also have Jared Goff. You have J.D. McKissick, noting it's not a fluke, it's a revenge game. Yes, he did play 1 year with the Detroit Lions. You have Jalen Reagor, and you also have Jordan Reed. You are only picking people with J's in their first names this week.
Yep.
I'll take that as a compliment, Ryan.
Yeah, I was going to say, if Josh and I were in the league, we'd be Ryan's upsides.
There you go. You're the upsides of this
we're
show.
contending for that flex spot this week.
That's right.
Speaking of Josh, his upsides have looked like dog shit the past few weeks. 0-4.
You are not wrong.
Another goose egg.
Wow,
Mr.
back to
Joshua.
back 0-8 for the last 2 weeks.
No, I didn't go 0-8.
Oh.
I had 2 winners on my downsides last week, so suck it.
Oh, no,
Ryan.
no. I meant your upsides. Did
Your
you go
upsides.
0 for 4 on your upsides last week as well? I think
Yeah, I believe so.
you're
In
on
three,
8
in
straight
3
Ls.
of the last 4 weeks, Josh has had a goose
Yeah.
egg in the upside column.
Yeah. No
Also,
bueno.
just quickly,
not
my
a
brother,
single one.
Joe, I know you praise Patrick Peterson like he's Jesus. I do. He's that good. But wondering how you feel about starting Diggs this week against him. Well, G,
Aren't we getting to that?
wait about a minute. Let me get to my downsides.
We'll get there.
But first, to Josh's upsides that you probably shouldn't listen to.
Yep.
Tua
bypass
Tagovailoa. Yeah, just bypass it. Tua Tagovailoa, home against the Los Angeles Chargers. The opposite of J.D. McKissick, Antonio Gibson in Detroit. Jerry Jeudy in Las Vegas. And Robert Tonyan, home against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Myself, I was also 500 last week, same as Ryan. I'm 16-19-1 overall. I have Joey Buckets, Joe Burrow, home against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Duke Johnson in Cleveland. Devontae Parker in Los Angeles against the Chargers. And Jared Cook against San Francisco. I literally just threw a piece of paper at my computer screen and said, which team has this tight end? Because I don't fucking know who to play at the tight end position at this point. No clue. Absolutely no clue. There's 3 locks, and everyone else is a shit show. So
Basically.
I
We
went
don't
with...
even have Kelsey this week either. So
Oh,
Nope.
God. Absolutely. No Kelsey, no Kittle.
no Kittle.
Oh, God. All right.
No
Into the
Hayden
down...
Hurst either, and he's been a top 5 tight end this year.
Into the downsides here. Kyra, you have to live with John's 3-1 last week in the downside column.
Oh,
You have the golden boy Tom Brady in Carolina. The combination of Wayne Gallman and Devonta Freeman home against the Eagles. DJ Chark in Green Bay coming off a big week. Mark Andrews in New England Sunday Night
Perpetually.
Football. Ryan.
He's
Another-
killing me, Mark Andrews. He breaks my heart.
Mark Andrews hurts.
Ryan did a whole article for the fantasy footballers about why Mark Andrews could be the tight end one. So if you think your heart's broken, his is already shattered and turning black.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just have to thank the Lord every day for Terry McLaurin to make me feel
Yeah.
a little bit better.
Mark Andrews really hurt Ryan's credibility throughout this season. But Ryan, 500.
Josh just called Jonnu Smith a stud in the chat. He has
He is
20
a
points.
stud, damn
He
it.
has 20 points over the last 4 weeks.
Everyone's
Hey,
very
Ryan,
upset with
I don't
us
care.
for the Jonu comments.
Ryan, you were 500 on the downsides as well last week, 23-13 overall. You have Ryan Tannehill, Thursday night, home against the Colts. Kalen Ballage, and you say, yes, this is cheating, but people were legitimately saying to add him. You have Justin Jefferson in Chicago on Monday Night Football. You have Jimmy Graham home against the Minnesota Vikings on Monday Night Football. Josh, better in the downside column. You were 2-1-1 last week, 18-15-3 overall. You have Joey Burrow, the exact opposite of me, as your downside quarterback. DeAndre Swift, home against the not the Redskins, the Washington football team.
You racist bastard.
Yeah, I'm the asshole. I'm the asshole in the situation. I'm the asshole here. DJ Moore, home against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And Gerald Everett, home against the Seattle Seahawks. My downsides, I was 3-1 last week.
Nice
I don't think I've ever been 3-1 on the downsides. I was pleasantly surprised when I saw that typed in the doc here. 14-19-3 overall.
Oh no, that's a typo. That meant to be 1-3.
Oh, sure. Yeah, haha, goose eggs. Goose eggs. Mr. Goose Eggs making the jokes over here. I also have Tom Brady as a downside in Carolina. Same game, I have Mike Davis as a downside as well. No Christian McCaffrey most likely this week. Stephon Diggs, there's your answer, G, in Arizona, and I'll explain it further in just a second. And I also have Irv Smith in Chicago. Just to quickly go over Irv Smith, he had 2 catches, 2 touchdowns. Those are his only 2 touchdowns on the year. Let's move on. Stephon Diggs, career versus Patrick Peterson in 3 games. 18 targets, 11 catches, 82 yards, 0 touchdowns.
That makes good for my John Brown upside pick.
Makes good for you, John
absolutely.
Brown upside.
Revenge game.
I will add this in, G. He does have 9 rushing yards. So there is
So
potential.
just for that, he's scoring a rushing touchdown this
There you
week, and
go.
he's going to vault into the
That's-
top 36.
That's an
Exactly.
That's an additional 0.9 points right there.
Exactly. But yeah, no, we saw it with DK Metcalf in Arizona. DK Metcalf is the strong, big, deep threat. What is Stephon Diggs? The strong. He's
I
not
don't
as
know
big
if
as.
he's strong.
Yeah, I was
He's
gonna say.
a little skinny, but
I don't know that I'm comparing Stephon Diggs to DK Metcalf in any world.
You didn't let me finish. I was going to say he's strong, not as big as DK Metcalf. But they're both deep threats. Patrick Peterson's going to play bump and run coverage on the deep threat receiver, right? What did Tyler Lockett do against Arizona? He dropped 63 effing fantasy points in some leagues. So you look at it and say, John Brown had a good week last week. I was weary about John Brown because, yes, coming off injury, but even before that, I think outside of week 1, he didn't really have that great of a season so far.
He's been in and out with a calf injury.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's been the Stephon Diggs show. So looking at this, I can't see it, right? Because I wanted to go back and see, did Stephon Diggs ever have a good game against Patrick Peterson? He's never had a good game against Patrick Peterson. Yes, he has had different quarterbacks like Kirk Cousins, but still in that instance, he was still the number 1 target in those offenses. Some of those games, Dalvin Cook was not there because he was either injured or wasn't on the team yet. So Diggs has always been the number 1 receiver on his team, yet he's consistently played against Patrick Peterson and hasn't played well against him. Again, 11 catches, 82 yards, no touchdowns. You're looking at that averages out to less than 4 catches a game, less than 30 yards per game in no touchdowns.
Except that in this game, he might get all 18 of those targets again.
He may get all 18 targets, but the issue is he going to be able to catch all of them is the thing. And I said it last year, Patrick Peterson did not look good last year. Patrick Peterson is back to all-pro form this year. I don't know what happened in this COVID offseason, but it needs to happen again next year for Patrick Peterson because he's absolutely lighting the world on fire in terms of locking down number 1 threats. If he holds DK Metcalf to 2 catches, easily can hold Stephon Diggs to 2 catches. So, yeah, there's your reasoning there, G. I know you have Diggs and John Brown on the same team, so I would bench Diggs and start John Brown. And I think Kyra says the same testament to the point where Peterson's going to cover Diggs and he's not going to cover John Brown. It's going to be, I don't know who their second DB is, but he's absolutely trash. It's that simple. And quickly, because this is my cousin, I whipped his ass last week, 202 to 109. Sorry,
this
Joe.
show's just become about you bragging about your individual fantasy accomplishments now. Is that it, Joe?
Yeah. Yeah. No, essentially.
At least you're honest.
Yeah. This is the league that my dad refused to let me in for 5 years because I was too young, and now I'm slapping the fucking floor with everybody. Everybody. Wouldn't let me in. My dad was scared of me at the age of 13 to let me into his league. Now I beat him every year. All right. So let's go back.
This is why you have a podcast.
This is very true. But anytime I lose, I always get the you have a podcast thrown back in my face. So it really is a double-edged sword. Going back to Kyra's upside here and Ryan's upside as well, because he got two of them. Jared Goff. I mean, we've seen it every single week against the Seahawks. QBs light them on fire, and receivers blow them out of the water. Jared Goff has had an up-and-down season. We've seen him go up against the New York Giants and had a pedestrian outing. We've seen him go up against defenses we thought he wouldn't do well against and put up incredible numbers. Is it really okay to trust Jared Goff to probably be a top 5 quarterback this week, considering how bad the Seattle Seahawks have looked? And Kyra, I'll start with you.
I wish you didn't, because every time I suggest a quarterback against the Seattle Seahawks, they completely blow it, like Jimmy G last week, who just put up 2 points, I think. I mean, I know that Jared Goff has had a very up and down season, but his ceiling in this game is super high. Like you said, quarterbacks and wide receivers are just blowing them out of the water. You got Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp. I mean, how much better could you really get of a wide receiver core to do that? They are coming fresh off the bye week. Jared Goff has had a couple of tough matchups. He's played the Washington football team, the Bears, the 49ers, Miami. The Giants are a little bit underrated as a defense, I think. I think they're a little bit better than what we think of them just because of their record.
Sure.
But with Seattle giving up the most points to quarterbacks, I mean, it's hard not to consider streaming him or to consider him a top 5 option on the week. I mean, he could easily blow up for over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns and have a great fantasy stat line. So I feel confident in putting Jared Goff into my lineup. He's definitely going to be in my DFS article this week. So.
All right, Ryan.
Yeah, he's my stream of the week, so we won't have to talk much about him at the end of the show. The main thing about it is the Seahawks haven't given up fewer than 19 fantasy points to any quarterback this season yet. 19 is the worst game. That's not counting Jimmy G's injury, but Mullins came into that game and scored 22 fantasy points. So as long as Goff doesn't get hurt, he's going to torch them. And the main thing I was going to bring up is, Joe, you spent an entire week screaming that Josh Allen doesn't know how to play quarterback.
Correct.
He just put up 4 bills and 4 touchdowns on them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So
I don't think there's going to be any issue with Goff going off this week. And the thing is, yes, Goff has been up and down, but he's been up and down when his wide receivers get covered. There's nobody covering Woods. There's nobody covering Kupp this week. It's not going to be a tough game.
Yeah, and you talk about me saying that, Josh Allen doesn't know how to play football. That really shows you how bad Jimmy Garoppolo is at football. That he can't figure it out against the Seattle Seahawks.
To attest to that, the Seattle Seahawks, they did let Nick Mullins come in on 18 completions. He had 238 yards and 2 touchdowns on 18 completions.
Yep.
128.4 QBR. They made Nick Mullins look pretty good.
Love it. I love Nick Mullins. He's going to get slaughtered this week against the Saints, but I like Nick Mullins.
Yep.
All right.
Jared Goff, at the very least, is going to throw for a ton of yards. It's what he does every single year. He's going to do that. The touchdowns, this is the matchup where he can throw for 3, possibly even 4, because right now their running game is not working very well, and the Seahawks are actually really good against the run, believe it or not. So they can stop the run, they can stop tight ends. They can't stop quarterbacks, they can't stop wide receivers. That's how you attack this team. Sean McVay knows that. And McVay is going to call plays to throw the football. That automatically benefits Goff. It benefits Kupp. It benefits Woods. And from what I have been told by other people, I'm not going to name any names, Chris, apparently you should be paying attention to Josh Reynolds, who, if you take into account from weeks 3 to 8 when they were playing, is on pace for almost 100 targets this year as the wide receiver 3 in that offense.
Hey.
And apparently he's only 3,500 on DraftKings. Just throwing that out there.
I will grant Chris the fact that Gabriel Davis should have had 2 touchdowns last week, and Josh Reynolds has good touchdown upside. For 3,500 on DraftKings, that's a cheap guy to then load up on some bigger name guys if you want to. Yeah. I don't disagree with that sentiment. But to quickly speak on the Seahawks run defense, Poona Ford has looked really good so far this year. Carlos Dunlap came in last week and looked very good in pass rush and run defense scenarios, and it's freaking Bobby Wagner in the middle of that defense. He's the best middle linebacker in the NFL, arguably the best middle linebacker of this past decade, up there with Luke Kuechly. So, yeah. But the issue is Poona Ford, Bobby Wagner, and Carlos Dunlap don't cover receivers 20 yards down the field. That's the only issue. All right. I want to do a head-to-head battle here. J.D. McKissic versus Antonio Gibson. We have Mr. Goose Egg Joshua going for Antonio Gibson and Mr. 500 Ryan.
I'm pretty sure this is all you need to know on why you should go McKissic, but I'm going to put up an argument anyway.
All right, so here we go. We'll start with the technical starter in the offense.
What if I told you there's no argument? Start both.
I mean, you could do that too, yeah.
Well, let's make this fun.
We're trying to entertain the masses, damn it.
Yeah. Josh, why is Antonio Gibson going to outscore J.D. McKissic this week?
So my biggest argument is Antonio Gibson is getting the early down work. And the biggest statistic to that I found came from @LordReebs, Rich Reiber from Sharp Football Analysis. Gibson has only 1 touch on 3rd down this year. 1. That's it. So that tells you that he's getting the early down work. The Lions have allowed the 10th fewest receptions to running backs on the season. So in a way, that kind of takes out McKissic's biggest strength, because Gibson right now is almost a 3-to-1 ratio better on rushing attempts for the Washington football team than J.D. McKissic. I understand the snaps have been leaning McKissic's way. Even last week, they dominated towards McKissic. And I think a large part of that was with Alex Smith coming in the middle of the game. They want to kind of protect him. So they win a lot of shotgun. They win a lot of 3rd down offense in a way, which, again, that's going to put McKissic on the field. When you go into this game with Alex Smith starting, presumably from start to finish, that's going to lean more Gibson, because now they can game plan for it. The Lions have allowed the most fantasy points per game to running backs all season long. They absolutely get torched. Gibson has the 3rd highest percent of forced missed tackles per rush. He has the exact same amount of forced missed tackles as J.D. McKissic on receptions, and has 12 less receptions. The Lions are tied for 7th, according to Pro Football Reference, in the most missed tackles as a defense. This matchup, to me, favors Gibson, but it's all going to lean on how the Washington football team prepares for this matchup.
The J.D. McKissic and the Antonio Gibson debate just baffles me, because, I mean, if you're trying to, even protect Alex Smith, J.D. McKissic's a smaller guy than Antonio Gibson. I think he doesn't even weigh 200 pounds. Antonio Gibson's like 220 or something like that. It doesn't make any sense to me. J.D. McKissic is the lesser version of Antonio Gibson, in my opinion. If they would just let him play, I think Terry McLaurin and Terry McLaurin and Antonio Gibson are their top 2 playmakers on that offense. I don't know why they're not trying to find ways to get him the ball opposed to J.D. McKissic. It's just frustrating to watch that happen. But hopefully, I mean, I was hoping after the bye it would change, but I don't know.
They clearly don't trust him in pass protection, I think, is all it comes down to. McKissic at least has the experience under his belt.
Yeah.
My only counter argument is the number 14, which is how many targets J.D. McKissic had last week with Alex Smith in the game.
Oh, he's king dump off.
Yeah.
So Josh brought up that they allow the 10th fewest receptions to running backs. They also allow, or I don't want to say they allow, they've faced the 12th fewest targets of running backs. Washington isn't going to be that issue. And the only 2 running backs who have seen over 5 targets against them were Aaron Jones and Naheem Hines. Jones went for, I think, 68 yards and a touchdown. Hines went for 34 yards and 2 touchdowns. I think they're both going to score this week. I was
about to say, so really what you're going to is right back to the original sentiment. Start them both.
Yeah. I'm for both of them, but I'm always going to lean on the guy with the targets. That's not going to change. It didn't change after the bye week. It's not going to change now. J.D. McKissic is on pace for 94 targets this season. He is this season's Austin Eckler, Naheem Hines. He's that surprise guy, Danny Woodhead, that you didn't expect and you weren't paying attention to. And he's going to end up James White. He's going to be a top 20 fantasy running back that nobody wanted on their team for half the season.
I just want to quickly say I've seen people in the YouTube chat. Apparently, YouTube is having some.
Yeah, the entire YouTube. It's nothing to do with us. So.
Oh, fun! So the entire side of YouTube is down. So if you guys are watching on YouTube, if you can, and Josh, if you can type this in, we're on Periscope, Facebook, and Twitch. For our YouTube audience, my guess is Twitch is the most accessible for you.
And you can also just go to our Twitter channel, and it's right there too.
Go right to the Twitter channel. It'll be right there as well. But if you want to continue interacting in the chat, I know Twitch is really easy to do that. So it's twitch.tv/clubfantasyffl. But you guys can go straight to there. That's going to be the best spot. Just wanted to get that in there. And then another quick thing about the Lions. I don't know who wrote the article, but I saw an article on PFN. I believe it was 2 weeks ago, after Dalvin Cook ripped up the Packers. They said, people you should look to trade away. And they had Dalvin Cook as the person to trade away. And the argument was because he has a tough schedule against the Lions and the Bears. He has a tough schedule. Let me repeat the first team for you. He has a tough schedule against the Lions,
who give up the most fantasy points to running backs.
It's blew my mind.
What paper was this written for, or article, or website?
I was on Pro Football Network.
Further throw another website under the
Tommy.
I don't know who wrote it. I don't know who wrote it.
He does get.
We know somebody that
Lions in week 17. So if anyone's playoffs is going to week 17, that kind of sucks for you. But
yeah,
I mean,
quit that league.
They could be. It could be somewhere like Tampa Bay, Chicago, New Orleans. So that is tough sledding. But even
I'll get on the horn with Tommy. We'll fix this.
I had a question. It was, would you trade Derrick Henry, who has stellar playoff schedules, really good playoff schedule, probably the best, for Dalvin Cook?
No, because Derrick Henry is the second year monster of fantasy football.
Yeah.
Second half of the year monster of fantasy football.
So would you right now sell low on Derrick Henry for the good playoff schedule and give away Dalvin Cook with his bad playoff schedule?
I would rather have Henry. I would make that trade.
You would
swap him to get Derrick Henry. I would.
Not to mention Derrick Henry doesn't miss time.
Yeah, he's always playing. Yeah.
Yeah. Somehow rushes every week for 20 to 30 rushing attempts and never finds.
Yeah, his yards per carry earlier in the year was really crappy. But like when you look at the rushing leaders right now, it's Henry and it's Cook, and they're like 1-2, and then the rest of the field is like 300 yards behind them. Like it's unreal how much they have just lapped the field. Yeah.
It makes me cry for what could have been for Nick Chubb. It was going to be such a good year for him.
Yeah. Christian, you could say
Maybe
Christian
he'll come
McCaffrey.
back.
Yeah.
There's so many receivers. I'm sorry, not receivers, running backs. All right. Another one I'd like to go back and forth on because of the disagreements here is the Joe Burrow. Me on the pro side, Josh on the anti side of starting.
Do I need to go find that bell?
No,
I
think this will be a short argument because I didn't make a ton of notes on this. So
go ahead. So start with your side then. Go
yeah,
ahead.
start with your non-researched bullshit.
My non-researched bullshit. Yeah.
Right, what do you think my side is?
Right off the top of the dome. Let's hear it.
No, I mean, like I understand the idea behind Pittsburgh being a bad 8-0 team. Whatever, you can say what you want, but Pittsburgh the last 4 weeks have allowed the second fewest fantasy points per game to quarterbacks. Like they do well against quarterbacks, and that's been that way not just the last 4 weeks, but it's been all season. Joe Burrow, to me, this is going to be a volume game for him. It's going to be very similar to some of these games where he's thrown 45, 50, even 60 passes. He might hit 300 yards, But with Minkah Fitzpatrick back there, he also has the opportunity for 2, maybe 3 interceptions. So even if he gets 1 touchdown, maybe 2 touchdowns, that's going to lower his ceiling. So for me, maybe his floor is safe, but I don't even think his floor is top 15. That's just my take on it.
Garrett Gilbert looked good against the Steelers defense.
But he didn't look great.
Yeah, but Josh.
And he wasn't even a top 15 quarterback.
Josh, Joe Burrow's not going to make the mistakes.
Okay, but the difference there is that you plan for a certain quarterback. The Steelers had no clue who they were planning for, regardless of whether they're good or not. We see all the times when backups come into a game mid-game and light the world on fire. But then the next week, they absolutely suck because the defense had a chance to prepare for them. The Steelers haven't had a chance to prepare for Joe Burrow. They have 8 games of film on him. They know what his strengths and weaknesses are. A good defense, which is what the Steelers are, can mitigate that. That's what I'm getting at with that.
This looks like a trap for the Steelers. I feel like they're due for a loss.
Oh, it absolutely can be. I mean, look what Joe Burrow did against Tennessee. Like the Bengals came out of the woodwork and wiped the floor with them.
Yeah, but you want to talk about a real fraud team, Tennessee. That's a real fraud team. Not just for the fact that I still don't believe in Ryan Tannehill. It's for the simple fact that Tennessee's defense is not that good. It's very simple. Their defense is not that good.
If we're just talking flat out win-loss, I think you could be right about this being a possible upset. Another thing that we haven't taken into account is that Ben Roethlisberger is on the COVID list.
Correct.
And is
2
not.
bad knees also.
Yep. And he has to sit for 5 days. He will not practice this week. That's the
Which,
rule.
honestly, I think with those bad knees, he probably wasn't going to practice this week anyway.
And I'll give you that, except this exact scenario last week, Matt Stafford looked like shit coming back in.
Awful.
And so that's a big red flag on the Steelers and Roethlisberger this week is
We saw them win games with their defense last year.
Yeah.
So
we also saw them get beat over the head with helmets and
I mean,
that was terrible, Ryan. That was terrible.
could you imagine being the least classiest of the team in your state in the competition's the Philadelphia Eagles? That's really tough.
Come on now.
I'm just
sitting.
saying.
Cheap shot,
No,
Warren.
but no, in all seriousness, this could very well be an upset. But the reason I would tend to lean Joe's side, not Josh's side, is if they're going to win this game, it's not going to be on Joe Mixon or Gio Bernard. It's going to be on Joe Burrow. So
They're going to have to throw. Joe Mixon will get 30 yards on the ground. Bernard will add another 20 maybe, and that's probably generous.
I agree, I agree with that. But this is upside, downside. It's not floor. I don't think Burrow has much upside this week, thus making him a downside pick for me.
I think Burrow is able to throw for 2 touchdowns. I agree with you. He's probably going to turn the ball over twice. I think he throws for 2 touchdowns, but he's able to make up some of those turnovers by running the football for 20 yards. He probably makes up for one of those turnovers.
Josh, would you play Burrow over Tom Brady or Ryan Tannehill?
Yes. Smash.
I would play him over Tannehill.
I knew you would say yes, Joe. You were down on both of them earlier.
I would play him over Tannehill, absolutely. Brady's close. I know Brady looked like crap last week, but I think he knows that, and he's going to go into this week a lot more prepared. So I would probably lean Brady. But again, I think you're just looking at, I just think Brady probably has a little bit more upside because his weapons are better. And Carolina's defense isn't near as good as Pittsburgh.
So, Kyra, you have to choose between Carson Wentz and Joe Burrow this week. Who are you playing?
I'd probably play Carson Wentz this week.
I have that exact
He
conundrum.
throws for a ton of yards. He just makes a lot of mistakes.
Actually, I'll throw out one of my roster dilemmas that I was debating. Lamar Jackson or Joe Burrow?
Joe Burrow. No, Lamar Jackson. He's going to run for 2,000 yards.
Yeah. He may not throw for a lot of yards, but he's definitely going to run for a lot in this one against the Patriots.
Ryan, just wait for my blurred lines bonus pick.
Okay.
Oh, goodness.
Wait for the bonus pick of the week.
Yeah, I think Lamar, it's his rushing upside this week, and really every week. I think he's only thrown for over 200 yards once all year.
Can we throw John's comment up on the screen? Because this
Love
is exactly what I wanted to say earlier.
And this is very true throughout his career.
This is what made me nervous to put Brady as my downside pick, because it is hard to believe that Tom Brady went and got embarrassed, completely embarrassed on primetime.
He got shellacked.
And John,
I think he's coming back gunslinging.
John,
So.
something to add, because I watched that game in full, and obviously watching Brady for, 15 years of really understanding football. You're right. He's never looked bad in consecutive weeks. Very rarely does he look bad in consecutive weeks, which I was the same thing with Kyra. That's why I was weary of putting him as a downside. Honestly, if you looked at that offense as a whole, Brady was arguably the best player on that offense last week. The receivers couldn't get open. Like, whatever your retort is, you're wrong. All right, John. Listen, this is all I'm saying. And
Thank you, John.
I am not defending Brady at all. He did not look good last week, but his receivers couldn't get open. His offensive line, non-existent. Absolutely non-existent. Against, yes, the Saints have a decent pass rush, but it's Cam Jordan and a slew of random defensive linemen. Like, they're not world beaters. So, and they locked down Cam Jordan, and they just kind of left everyone else to their their demise at that point. Carolina's pass rush isn't great, but they essentially have the same tools minus a Cam Jordan that the Saints do. Brian Burns has looked great. Derek Brown's hot and cold, but they have some decent weapons there on that defensive line. Look, it's going to be to the point where can his receivers get open, and Brady put up 10 points against Carolina week 2. 10 points. And that's after looking bad in week 1 against the Saints.
What did he do the next week?
What did he do the next week?
Yeah.
I don't know what he did the next week.
All right, well, while you
do
look
you
that
know?
up, let's get to some of these questions real quick.
Go ahead, read some of the questions because you have him while I pull up Brady's stat line here.
Davis or Duke Johnson if David is out? And I'm assuming this is Corey Davis, or do you mean Mike Davis, Ricky?
I would say Mike.
I imagine it's Mike Davis.
Yeah,
Okay.
running back question. Hi, Logie. Duke Johnson.
Yeah, I would go Duke in that instance. Look,
Yeah.
we all love the revenge game narrative, and people forget about this, like Houston going against Cleveland, and Duke Johnson played for Cleveland, and nobody wanted to give him any carries, and now they're giving him carries, and he was a top 10 RB last week. I'm just saying.
Not to mention, and don't forget, a lot of these times, we create this revenge game narrative. Duke Johnson was pissed when he left Cleveland. He demanded a trade. Like, he wanted out of there. So,
And I'm not saying he looked great last week. I mean, he averaged less than 3 yards a carry. It was just bad. And Houston has a terrible offensive line. They need to get him more involved in the passing game, which I think they will. And his day was saved by a touchdown. But yeah, like you said, he was pissed leaving Cleveland. He did not want to be there. They needed to utilize him. He's now going to get the chance to do that in Houston. With David Johnson presumably out, I'm all about it. What about you, Kyra?
I'm picking Duke Johnson as well. I don't really feel. I mean, you get one or two or three more weeks out of Mike Davis. Unfortunately, you get him playing Chicago this week. Chicago's just a boring team to watch. Their defense is so good. They don't really create a high-scoring game. Not a ton of chances for Davis to flourish. I'm going Duke Johnson this one too.
and I think a big thing about that is Nick Foles isn't going to turn the ball over enough against a bad Carolina defense. Nick Foles has been trashed this entire season, but Carolina is not going to be bad enough, or he's not going to be bad. Carolina's not going to be good enough to make him look that bad where it's going to be a huge Mike Davis game.
Yeah.
Carolina plays Tampa Bay this week.
Carolina plays Tampa Bay. Nick Foles and the Bears play.
Sorry, got
Oh, wait. So Mike Davis isn't playing the Bears this week?
No,
Mike Davis plays Tampa Bay.
Tampa.
Oh, okay.
It's even worse. They got a good
Duke Johnson. It's still Duke Johnson.
Yeah, and Tampa Bay has been good against running backs outside of receptions. I'm interested to see, because didn't Davis have 7 catches against Tampa Bay the first time around?
Something like that, yeah.
Not sure.
I knew it was a tough rushing off defense.
That's all right.
Got it mixed up.
It's still Duke Johnson.
Yeah.
I'm still
All right.
picking Duke. Yeah, it's no question.
2 more, Joe, before you get to your point there. Any thoughts on Jonathan Taylor for tomorrow night?
Bench him.
Sit him.
Yeah. If you got better options, you definitely over Jonathan Taylor, unfortunately, until he somehow comes out of the pecking order of that committee.
Yeah, and I don't think it's a bad matchup. I mean, like we've talked about before, Tennessee is a fraud. I don't their defense is not that great.
I was just gonna say, if you can look at him as your RB2, I will not bench Jonathan Taylor this week. He scored last week, and I think he scores again this week to save this day.
Sorry, John. I know how much you loved your Jonathan Taylor, and believe me, we're all on that same page. We all
I love JT.
We all bought in, dude.
This whole season has hurt for watching JT.
But I mean, who's to say that Wilkins isn't going to get 20 carries again this week and screw everything up? Like that's just, we have no idea right now with Frank Reich. We don't know what he's going to do.
Didn't Wilkins get a little banged up last week, if I remember correctly?
And another thing to add, and I've said it before, Tennessee's defense is either lights out or they're Swiss cheese. There's no in between with that defense. Is they're going to get shredded or they're going to shred the offense.
Yeah, I think Indianapolis's lack of wide receivers and the shit play we've seen from Phillip Rivers this season is not doing Jonathan Taylor any favors.
Yeah,
and that's what
doesn't fit for him.
I tweeted this earlier. The Titans have allowed the second most fantasy points to wide receivers. How do we get screwed? Colts have nobody to throw to. I don't care that T.Y. Hilton's going to play. That dude is so washed.
They're another boring team to watch. They have no identity whatsoever.
None whatsoever. Put Jacoby Brissett in there. He could do so much better.
I think Trey Burton might be their most upside receiving option.
Yeah.
I think Ryan, you were about to sneak in his name, Zach Pascal.
Yep, I was going to say Zach Pascal, baby, 14 targets this week.
Throw him in your captain spot in DFS lineup.
I was going to say you want a cheap DFS captain, Zach Pascal.
There you go. All right, and then last one, Lamar Jackson or Aaron Rodgers. Those are my dilemmas.
It's easy for me, Rodgers.
You're not benching Aaron Rodgers
right now.
Rodgers.
Yeah. Logi's a Pats fan, so he knows how bad the Pats defense is. You're not benching Aaron Rodgers. It's Jacksonville in Lambeau. Devontae Adams is going to have another 200 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. For my DFS articles, I'm just going to start them out saying you just build your lineup around Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
Dalvin Cook and Devontae Adams. Just build around that. It doesn't matter who you pick because they're going to score 80 points between each other. Mm-hmm. It's going to be really easy.
Can we just say, for everything we got wrong about fantasy this year, everybody said Devontae Adams was going to see 160 targets, and man, are we all looking very right about that.
I know he's missed 2-3 games. He might still hit 160.
He's still going to hit 160.
Doesn't matter because he's open on every play.
And even when he's not open, he's open.
It's absolutely ridiculous. By
the way, real quick, I know I'm sorry cutting you off again. Shout out to Kyra. Those cash grab articles are absolutely fantastic.
They are absolutely
great. And if you haven't read them, you need to start reading them because they're awesome, they're hilarious, and you're going to win some money. So it's a triple win.
They're
I try to make it worth reading for you.
They're absolute money. All right, I'll see myself out. For the back to the Tom Brady thing. So football-wise, looked bad against the New Orleans Saints week 1. 239, 2 interceptions, 2 touchdowns. Ended up being he also had a rushing touchdown, which helped his fantasy day, put him at just under 25 points. The week after against Carolina, he had 10. And then the week after in Denver, he had just shy of 30.
Yeah.
I still don't like it. If you can guarantee me a rushing touchdown from Tom Brady, sure, put him in your lineup. No one has ever guaranteed a rushing touchdown from Tom Brady. And Josh, while you type in here, Devontae Adams is no, I'm sorry. Allen Lazard is not overrated. Okay, Allen Lazard is a 6'6" slot receiver. That's not overrated. Okay, Logie. Josh thinks any Packers receiver not named Devontae Adams is overrated. This is the same guy who said start Marquez Valdez-Scantling in multiple weeks.
Oh,
this is the guy who has named Equanimous St. Brown as the potential savior for the second wide receiver slot in Green Bay. Allen Lazard has consistently proven when he's in the lineup he is a good receiver. Allen Lazard
I don't know about
is good.
That's
proven.
A stretch.
I don't know about consistently proven. He's had 2 good weeks this year, dude.
Yeah.
Because he's been hurt the rest of them.
He does need the touchdown to also look really good. Other than the New Orleans game, he put up 140 on something yards. It was heavy.
And that was without Adams.
Yeah, that was without Adams.
That's the point I'm getting at. When
Week
Devontae
one,
Adams is in the
mediocre
lineup,
without the touchdown.
nobody else matters.
Logie, there's two receivers that Aaron Rodgers has ever trusted that he's had on his team. Devontae Adams and Allen Lazard. He has come out and said he trusts Allen Lazard. Name me another time Aaron Rodgers has said publicly that he trusts a receiver outside of his number one guy.
Do you know what he's gonna be saying this week or next week or whenever Lazard comes back? Oh, you still play here? I haven't seen you. I'm gonna throw the ball to Devontae. Check this out.
I'm not denying he throws the ball to Devontae Adams. At some point, Devontae Adams has to get double teamed. I'm just. What did I just say?
Jon is sounding off.
What did I say? Outside of the number one receiver, when has he ever said that he's trusted a receiver? Jordy was his number one.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he really liked Devontae Adams and Randall Cobb while Jordy was the number one.
Ricky, start Lazard. You'll be disappointed. I promise you.
You won't, but
Lazard is the kind of guy who might eventually show up in one of Kyra's articles. You are not playing him in a seasonal league.
Yeah, you are. You're playing him as your flex, and he's going to get you flex numbers.
You're playing him in that IR position. Damn, it's going to be really good if your tiebreaker goes to reserve points. He's going to really help you out.
My assumption is he's asking this question because he's getting activated off of IR. I don't know if this is true, but my assumption is he's asking that question.
Can you put him back on your IR in the second quarter when he gets hurt?
He was warming up last week with the team. I don't know.
I thought he was coming off last week.
Yeah, they had it ready for him to come off last week. I think they knew they weren't going to need him. So
it's true.
Yeah, why do you need any other wide receiver when you have Devontae Adams?
That's what I'm saying. And it's Jacksonville. You don't need him against Jacksonville either.
No.
AJ Green or Allen Lazard. You all hate AJ Green, so if you say his name over Allen Lazard, I'm going to be pissed.
He might end the broadcast abruptly.
I mean, are you kidding me? AJ Green over Allen Lazard? Yeah, sure.
No.
How about let's throw T.Y. Hilton in the mix. Do we start T.Y. Hilton or Allen Lazard? It's not 2015.
No, it's not.
Yeah, no.
But in this matchup, I think I would go Hilton.
I would
T.Y. Hilton?
Any of the three.
Oh, God.
I mean, they're all going to get 3 targets, 1 reception, 11 yards.
This is where you go grab Jacoby Myers.
Yeah. These questions are hard because I would not have any of them on my team. I just don't. I can't. I let go of the name value in drafts. You can't sell me on people like AJ Green and T.Y. Hilton. I leave them in the dust for someone else to deal with.
Yep. Go for the upside. That is not Lazard. He's a Jag, Joe. Just deal with it.
Allen Lazard. It's Allen Lazard. I don't know why the giant slander on Allen Lazard like he's killed multiple members of your family, but it's Allen Lazard.
How do you know he hasn't?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
multiple members of my family have been murdered in Wisconsin, so
it's all Allen Lazard's fault.
I didn't even laugh at that.
Ryan, you said that with such a straight face. Oh my God.
I'm like, damn it, I just giggled at him.
What? I should have just immediately hit leave studio after I said that.
I want to kick all of you and just end this show just me at this point. So painful. Absolutely so painful. All right, we already talked about Ryan's stream of the week at quarterback, Jared Goff. Your stream of the week at tight end is Austin Hooper, a guy that we all just hate on this show. So explain.
Yes, I even acknowledged that in the article. It's going to be his first game back on the IR from having his appendix removed. Coaches are already raving about how important it is to have him back. When we hated him, our main narrative was there weren't enough passing targets to go around. Well, Odell Beckham doesn't play right now, so there's plenty of targets for Hooper. And outside of Landry, who's always going to fill the Landry role, Hooper can really make up for what they're losing in Odell Beckham, which is the deep balls over the middle. He was actually the tight end 6 from weeks 3 through 6. Harrison Bryant stepped in and was the tight end 6 for weeks 7 and 8 while playing the Hooper role. So he has top 6 written all over him, and Houston happens to give up the 10th most fantasy points to tight ends on the season. One thing you're going to notice, I have percentages. I always list percentages in my articles. I started looking at these roster percentages at about 6 o'clock this morning. they've all jumped incredibly. So if you're reading the article, the numbers are going to be really bad and you're going to probably have to go down on the list. If you need to stream a tight end, for the love of God, go look for one right now. And Austin Hooper's a good one to start. He's about 50% right now, but it's probably, that was 2 hours ago. Who knows how bad it is at this point.
In 2 of 3 games this season, Allen Lazard has been a startable
God,
wide
we're still on this? Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
dude.
because you said he wasn't startable. Allen Lazard has been a top 24 wide receiver 2 of the 3 weeks he's played. In week 2, when he wasn't, Aaron Jones ripped the Lions a new one, 168 yards and 2
The only thing is
they
that
weren't throwing.
Adams
And how
wasn't
many of those
playing
games
those
did
games.
Devontae Adams play?
Oh, really? So week 1, when Devontae Adams played and scored 43 points, Allen Lazard scored 18 himself, which is a starting wide receiver.
It was against Minnesota, I believe, right? The worst pass defense in the league.
Sure. Most definitely. They play.
They're
bad
not going to play Minnesota more than twice a year.
So Josh, just answer me how good is Jacksonville's secondary? Okay, we're going to move on to the next thing, which is the defense, because Jacksonville's defense is nowhere near stream of the week because their secondary is garbage. Garbage, sir.
So why rush him back from IR if you don't need him?
Josh, this isn't start Allen Lazard if he's injured. This is start Allen Lazard if he's healthy.
We spent so much time talking about Allen Lazard that we never talked about our upside tight ends.
This is usually how the show goes, Kira.
It's usually how the show goes, Kira. That's why Joe kind of reads everybody off.
I have such a big thing on Evan Engram. I'm like, God damn it, for what?
Oh, yeah. So that was never going to happen. We started off where we tried to hit everybody, but then Josh and Joe just end up fighting. And so now it's gotten to the point where we each get to talk about one guy that we took our notes on.
John's mad that I'm taking the bait. And John, listen, I'll take the bait all day because Josh pisses me the fuck off sometimes. It's that simple, right? He refuses to acknowledge the talent that Allen Lazard is because he has googly eyes for Devontae Adams, which I do as well. But I can see past that.
So anyway, if you're going to stream your defense this week, go out and get
the Saints.
The Saints. Unfortunately, I'm going to bury the lead a little bit here. They are the worst one of the group where rostership changed like crazy. When I looked this morning, they were at 49% rostered. When I looked getting ready to write the article later in the afternoon, they were up to 78% rostered. So it's been a crazy day of people picking people up off of waivers. The main thing is they're playing a backup quarterback, a backup running back, backup wide receivers, and a backup tight end. Everybody for San Fran is either hurt or has come into contact with somebody with COVID. I think Ayuk's back this week. They can handle one wide receiver. After the 49ers weren't bad when the season started, but they've given up 49 fantasy points to defenses in their last 6 games. And one of those 6 games was actually a 0 they gave up. So in 5 of their last 6, they're allowing 10 fantasy points to defenses. That's a lock for top 10. And if you're someone who's streaming, top 10 is what you're hoping for. The Saints were the number 1 defense last week and have very much a chance to be the number 1 defense again this week. This game could get ugly.
To add in, I think they're missing a couple offensive linemen as well as San Francisco is. The Saints should roll them, and it's in the dome as well. So, yeah.
So, Kira, tell us about Evan Engram.
Yes.
Right. So I want to talk about Evan Engram because I'm a huge Evan Engram stan. I believed in him his whole entire career. He's been trending up. He's playing against my Eagles. For 3 straight games now, he's had at least 9 targets. He's getting used more in the offense as he should have been. The Eagles are allowing 16.5 PPR points per game to tight ends. Eagles have played 8 games so far and have allowed 7 different tight ends to have 9 or more PPR points. They also have an 80% completion rate. They allow an 80% completion rate, which is second highest in the NFL. So I think it's Evan Engram time. I mean, he's the number 1 target on that Giants offense. I think he should blow up in this one.
Yeah, and just like Garrett finally realized that Evan Engram is not Jason Witten and is actually using Evan Engram.
That's the best damn part is they finally realized that they don't have Jason Witten. That Evan Engram, who's athletic. And,
wait, this guy's athletic? We can do so much more.
Yeah. We could use him.
And just to tie this into Kira's article, we've been talking up Devontae Adams. We've been talking up Aaron Rodgers. We've been talking up guys like Evan Ingram, who I think is top 5 in cost in DFS this week. I was building some lineups this morning, and he's not way up there, but he's up there. Her article gives you the ability to build around these studs because she finds guys who are going to blow up for lower dollar amounts. And that's kind of what you need to do in DFS is you need to maximize what you're getting from your low dollar amounts so you can pay up for the chalk guys like Devontae Adams. And this week, I completely agree, Evan Ingram.
She recommended Evan Ingram last week when he was cheap.
I do.
Yep.
He is the 7th. What is he? Yeah, he's 4,500 this week in DraftKings, so that's not bad. That's kind of
That's still cheap.
That's still cheap for a tight end.
So I like him again.
Yeah, if you're looking at average salary for players, I think it nets out to about like 5,600, I believe, if you're going through your entire lineup. So he's much lower than the average.
I was going to say, for the love of God, don't pay up. I was going to say pay up for Mark Andrews, but he's a Monday night guy this week. But just...
You don't have to pay up at tight end this week at all. I mean, there's really no particularly great matchup.
Ingram was tight end 3 among DraftKings scoring just last week. So kudos, Kyra. Great call.
Yeah. And
Nice.
he had his highest scoring game of the year last week. A lot of that due to that touchdown he scored. And even going back to the game against Philly 3 weeks ago, he broke a streak of 5 straight single-digit games to get 10.9 points, 9 targets, 6 receptions, 46 yards against the Eagles, and that was in Philly. This game's going to be in New York, so again, you should.
I will say, in New York, that's what worries me most with Carson Wentz this week. That fucking turf is terrible in New York. It has that's eaten up everybody.
People. Yeah,
some people want that to happen to Carson so that they can
so they can re-sign Nick Foles and he can lead them again.
Oh.
Stop.
I can't. It pains me to even hear that when people prefer Nick Foles over. Are they watching Nick Foles?
Right?
Kyra, I'm not one of those people.
Give Carson Wentz, Allen Robinson, and Anthony Miller, and
Darnell Mooney. Oh God, if Darnell Mooney only had a quarterback, he'd be so
or
damn
Allen
good.
Robinson, perhaps.
A-Rob can, somewhat.
He can leave after this year, though. He can leave.
Yeah.
He's a free agent.
He should.
Quickly before
good for him.
Yeah. Quickly before I dive in here to wrap up the show with a kicker of the week and the blurred lines from Jayers, going back to the Jonathan Taylor question, and I think this is probably a clean sweep across the board here, him or Jalen Reagor. To our 2 Eagles fans, my guess is you say Jalen Reagor.
Yeah, for the upside, for sure.
Upside, absolutely. Yep.
Ryan.
Probably upside and floor.
Yeah, I think.
Sorry, John, if you're still listening.
Yeah, I think Jalen Reagor.
I will say, if you decide to start Jonathan Taylor, don't start him in your flex. Start him at running back. You need the flexibility in your flex.
Correct. Very true. Yeah, that's something I learned the hard way this year. It didn't affect me.
It only took you to this year to figure that out? Come on, Joe.
Josh, look, I win my leagues anyway, so I don't really need to care.
Cocky bastard.
It's in the league where someone traded Alvin Kamara for flex depth, so I really don't have to pay too much attention in that league. It's just set my lineup blind at that point. Josh, I was able to pick up Jacoby Myers and Jalen Reagor off of waivers this week, and I was 10th. I was 10th in the waiver order. How is that possible?
Oh, man, that's terrible.
Yeah, again, I could set my lineup blind and still win that league, or at least make it to the championship. All right.
I love your notes on Zane Gonzalez, by the way. What the fuck, bro?
So I'm on a 4-game losing streak right now for kicker of the week, and I thought last week was my safe bet with Zane Gonzalez. He did exactly what I said they would do.
They didn't stall in the red zone, though.
They didn't stall in the red zone, but there was 2 times where they stalled out in between the 35 and the 20.
Real quick, here's a fun stat about the Dolphins. They've allowed 3 touchdowns to tight ends all year. Two of them came last week.
Daryl Daniels, baby.
2 of them came last week. Max Williams and Daryl Daniels. I was 3 weeks early on Daryl Daniels, by the way.
I was 3 weeks early on J.D. McKissick, so join the club. But yeah, I mean, saying Gonzalez.
I was early on Engram.
So with Zane Gonzalez, if you missed it, right? Because I didn't realize the kick that he missed from 49 was to tie the game. I didn't realize that at the time. But he has the leg. He's made a 55-yarder this year and cleared the uprights like halfway up. The guy has the leg.
Do we have a translator?
I know, right? I thought
Yeah,
that
I don't.
That last question might not get answered.
I believe that is Arabic. I don't read or speak Arabic, so
You keep talking. I'll see if I can get it.
I appreciate it.
Google Translate to the rescue.
100%.
I was just it was really painful when he missed that because 49 is well within his range and it was on target too. No doubt that was on target and he short-legged it and it was painful. So this week I'm going with zero reasoning whatsoever besides this guy kicked at the University of Miami. Who is it, Josh?
The Money Badger.
Michael
For the record,
Badgley.
I don't like this pick, but
Josh, I don't like it either. He's 73% on the season.
he has been bad. Every time I watch him kick, I'm just like, and he's missing. I'm like, where? No, you're better than this, dude. Like,
Josh, clearly logic makes no sense with these picks anymore.
God.
Clearly logic makes no sense. So
I'm gonna start tuning into FF Confidential and let Linda pick my kickers now.
if she picks your kicker, they're going to tear their ACL. Linda has the injury curse. That's a fact.
She picked Jason Sanders last week and was money. So
Jason Sanders is the #1 kicker on this year.
I thought that was Young Wei Koo.
Jason Sanders is minimum top 5.
He's top 2. I looked it up the other.
Yeah. That's. I love Linda. That's an easy pick.
Is like a cheat code for kickers. He's just killing it.
He's been good. But no, my reasoning behind Badgley is he made 80% of his kicks at the University of Miami. So maybe
80% ain't great.
Josh, logic makes no sense anymore. Okay? It makes no sense.
It's 2020. Throw it out the window.
Makes no sense. Absolutely makes no sense. I was looking to find a kicker that I absolutely think is terrible this year, and Badgley's one of them. So that means Badger's going to score 15 points. That's my reasoning. That's my exact reasoning. Is Michael Badger's going to score 15 points because in reality he should score 3. I don't know. I need to break the curse with someone, and apparently Michael Badgley is the guy that I'm hitching my wagon to. But the good news is the blurred lines have been money as of late.
And that's really where they need to be money, so it works.
That's exactly where they need to be money. Big shout out to Tennessee. Again, shocked that 78% of the money was being bet on the Bears to cover that 6.5 point spread. It was 5.5 points at the time. I got the Titans at 6.5 and still hit that bet. But this week, New Orleans -9 against the San Francisco 49ers.
Dude, last time you went big on the spread, you got burned.
I did get burned, and that was what was that? It
was the Patriots over someone, I think.
It was the Patriots over Denver. You are correct. What I failed to realize is that Cam Newton forgot how to play football. Drew Brees hasn't. That's the difference. And Ryan's already covered it. San Francisco's playing with a squad of backups. That's what it is. They're a squad of backups. I was going back and forth with my bonus line in this one because I thought it might be a trap game. I can't see New Orleans losing this game. Like, they should smack the 49ers this week. I think, the 49ers will have some decent...
What do the analytics have on this game? Because that was the whole idea behind the blurred lines pick. So
the analytics have San Francisco as 50.1% favored to cover, and the New Orleans Saints only 47%. But 78% of the money is being put on the Saints. So it's very strange that the analytics are leaning towards the 49ers.
And you're going to see the line grow then at that point too, which is still then going to tilt the analytics towards San Fran. So
exactly. And my bonus line, which this is the one I was going to go with, but for some I don't know why, I can't do it because Bill Belichick, you pull something out of his ass. Baltimore -7. My heart says the Patriots will cover. My mind says you're going to make so much fucking money on the Ravens this weekend. It's going to be you're going to be a millionaire by the end of Sunday.
Pete Rose and betting against his squad.
Essentially. The one time I bet against the Patriots, Seattle covered for me. The one time I bet for the Patriots, Denver smashed them. So here we go. Baltimore is going to cover -7. They cannot stop the run. It's plain and simple. They can't stop the run. And their secondary looks awful right now. Like, yes, they'll probably get Stephon Gilmore back, but J.C. Jackson...
They don't throw the football, though.
They don't.
They don't throw it well, either.
They don't throw it well. No, Josh, I completely agree with you. They could run the football 60 times and throw the football 0. They would still put up 42 points in this game. The Patriots can't stop the run. Plain and simple, they can't stop the run. Yes, they were missing Lawrence Guy, Juwan Bentley last week. I don't care. Juwan Bentley runs. He'll find the hole. The issue is he'll run right by the running back. To me, your two lines are New Orleans -7 and Baltimore -7. I'm very confident in Baltimore, and I'm very confident in New Orleans.
I will say, spoiler alert, J.K. Dobbins is one of my upside plays this week.
J.K. Dobbins should have 150 yards, and I know I exaggerate when I say how many yards.
Not sure he'll score a touchdown because Gus Edwards has dominated the red zone carries for them. But I have a feeling that this could be the week that he breaks one.
He'll get
like a
yards.
long one for a touchdown. So
correct. I've watched every game. The Patriots cannot stop the run. Plain and simple. The Baltimore should run all over them. If you want to look back to last year when Baltimore played them, I believe it was 38-7 at home in Baltimore. It's going to be another one of these games. This is a game where Lamar Jackson probably gets back on track, and then he'll derail himself a couple weeks later just based off how the season's gone. But this should be a bounce back week for Lamar.
And not to beat a dead horse, but Baltimore's defense can keep Cam out of the end zone running, and that's going to be huge. So
the Jets defense essentially did that. I mean, they didn't stop him running.
I was just going to say, did they?
Yeah, they didn't stop him running. But I would be.
Well,
shocked.
everyone's going to stop him passing. Someone needs to stop him running to shut them down, and Baltimore's going to be able to do that. So.
Correct. Yep, correct. So there's your two picks: New Orleans -9, Baltimore -7. Keep an eye out for Kyra's Cash Grabs articles on Saturday, so you can win even more money. You can win my money on a sports book. You can win Kyra's money on DraftKings or FanDuel, whatever your preferred platform is. I suggest DraftKings because for some reason their players are just way cheaper. I don't understand why, but they're way cheaper.
I just don't understand the pricing in FanDuel. It's just so bunched, whereas DraftKings is a lot more spread out.
Yeah.
But you really have to search for the values on DraftKings. You don't really have to search for values on FanDuel.
FanDuel has been really glitchy this year too. There's been just like a lot of problems with them, but I could always build a really stud-filled lineup though on FanDuel. I don't know if they price things. They must price things extremely strange because I don't know. I definitely prefer DraftKings over them for sure.
That's awesome.
But for the people who play FanDuel, I'll keep putting the prices on there too, even though they're always wildly different. So I'm sorry for that.
It is funny when I make the graphics, I see like 5,100, 7,200. I'm like, how is that much of a difference between the two platforms? It's ridiculous.
Crazy. When I put them, I'm like, oh shit, this doesn't really benefit FanDuel, but
that's okay. That's all right. And we'll end the show here on this one from
I think it's ISO Uzi Vert. I've been looking at it.
That's true. No, I like that. ISO Uzi Vert. And I believe he's got Lil Uzi Vert in the profile picture right there. Would we trade Kareem Hunt for Jamison Crowder? He possibly could get someone else along with Crowder, but not sure. Let's just take this for face value as it is right now. I'm going to go around the room, and I have a strong feeling I know what everyone's answer is going to be. Kyra, I'll start with you. Would you trade Kareem Hunt for Jamison Crowder, yes or no?
Okay, so if it's Hunt for Crowder, that's a fuck no for me. Definitely not. Don't even entertain that offer. Whoever you should possibly get someone else along with Crowder.
And it better be a stud running back.
Yeah.
Because don't think just because Nick Chubb coming back is going to deflate Hunt's value a ton. Actually, I'm pretty sure he's been more efficient with Chubb in the lineup.
Yes.
So don't think you're losing out by him coming back. Hunt is going to be the same or better. Don't sell low on him right now for whatever reason someone thinks Crowder is of equal value.
Correct.
He's not.
Ryan?
She said it perfectly. The only thing I'll add is if you've learned nothing else from 2020 and take this with you into following years, don't trade running backs for wide receivers.
Right.
If you're not getting Devontae Adams, I don't know that I'm trading just about any running back for just about any wide receiver right now. Running back depth is going to win you your fantasy championship. I can't reiterate that enough.
Yep. Josh?
Yeah, exact same thing.
Ditto.
I mean, when you look on your waiver wire, there are no running backs. You can find wide receivers. You cannot find running backs. So hang on to those running backs. We all love Jamison Crowder, but he hasn't been healthy this year. So it deflates a lot of that value that we think he has when he's healthy anyway. But even then, Hunt is a top 24 running back. That is what you need in the fantasy landscape right now. I will say I did actually just acquire Kareem Hunt in one league. I gave up Robert Woods, which really hurt. But I have a lot of depth at wide receiver, and my running backs have been wiped out.
It's a great trade.
So let me ask you this, because someone had messaged me on Instagram about a trade, and I told them to take it, and we'll end on this. DK Metcalf, they traded away DK Metcalf for Dalvin Cook.
Oh, man.
Standard league.
Smash accept.
That's what I said.
I mean, if you're getting Cook, yeah, absolutely. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not a bad trade by any means, but I
think it's
prefer
even
the
on
running
both
back.
sides.
Yeah, it's definitely even. I mean, whatever the needs are,
So
it is not even on both sides.
Well,
DK Metcalf, as I've said this entire year, Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf are going to trade boom and bust games.
Yeah.
DK Metcalf is due for some bust, and you just took Dalvin Cook.
Dalvin Cook for when he's hurt.
Fair enough.
Listen, so
Just saying.
So
he's already done his injury. He's done his time.
No, he's had
13 years.
He hasn't had all the injuries.
I asked him what his lineup was. His second running back was DeAndre Swift. His RB1 was Derrick Henry. So I told him, if you can double stack Derrick Henry and Dalvin Cook and have your receivers be Robbie Anderson and Tyreek Hill, I would definitely take that trade.
Yeah, that's huge.
Congrats on your fantasy
I like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So,
You could ride that one, into the sunset.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. I think you're.
All right,
you're
Ryan,
set
real
on.
quick. If that trade Metcalf for Cook is dynasty, how do you feel?
Oh, no. Wide receivers and dynasty, folks.
Yeah, no, you can't
that, take away that trading running back wide receiver.
Yes, it is. Now you flip that back on its head.
Flip that.
Yeah, you take DK Metcalf in that trade as
Yes.
Jon
Dalvin Cook-
Helmkamp said last week. DK Metcalf is his wide receiver 1 in Dynasty Fantasy.
You can look at running back value basically as cut in half the second a season ends, because you never know what the fuck's going to happen the next season. Wide receivers just work their way up on a steady incline till 30, 31 years old. The fantasy footballers had a great stat earlier this year. The average peak age for an NFL running back is 24 years old. What they've done before the age of 25, very rarely are they ever going to do anything better than that. So,
Correct. Yeah. All right. That's all we have. A little overtime, but always a good time. Sorry for the YouTube crowd. I was sad. The YouTube crowd. That's our big crowd.
say we lost our boy Sean Goglin.
I know. I know. Sean will join us.
He'll join us Saturday.
Yep.
Yeah, he'll join us on Saturday, though, for the Start Sit Different Day, 11 a.m. Eastern. Everywhere you're watching now, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. If YouTube is still having issues, we'll also go live on Twitch for those of you that have joined us over from YouTube on Twitch as well. So we will go live there just in case YouTube is still having issues, but I'm fairly positive that big of a platform will figure it out in the next 72 hours before we go live then. Also, be sure to check out the Speakeasy. That just dropped on
New
Tuesday
episode.
with everyone's favorite stepmom, Lauren Carpenter. And for the next episode, that's going to be dropping sometime in December. I don't know the date. It's going to be with the one and only Kyra W. Still not gonna try. Still not gonna try.
I'll let you go with that one. I've been for a W my whole life, so.
Okay, Miss Dubs. Miss Dubs down at the bottom right corner. That's what we'll call her, Miss Dubs.
Kyra Dubs.
Kyra Dubs.
K-Dubs.
K-Dubs, there you go.
K Dubs. And if you missed last week's Club Dynasty episode with Marvin Eloquin from Dynasty Nerds and the Fantasy Footballers, it was an awesome one. It was a long one, but definitely worth the listen.
His new Dynasty report just dropped on the Fantasy Footballers. Absolutely fantastic read, so go check that out too.
Yes, he is fantastic. Thank you, Kyra, for joining us for the first time here.
Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me, guys. It's been a lot of fun. I really enjoyed doing it.
Love it. Awesome. Obviously, welcome back anytime, as well as all the previous guests that join us. We love having people on with us. For the One Hudsonian, the Fantasy 5 Fantasy with a PHFF Kyra, and for myself at Joe_Zolo. You can follow Club Fantasy on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Club Fantasy FFL. The URL is clubfantasyffl.com, where on Saturday you can check out Kyra's Cash Grabs. That will drop on Saturday. Be on the lookout as well for my Blurred Lines pick once more. That will be dropping on Saturday as well across all our social media channels. Always remember, defense wins championships. Offense wins fantasy football. Next week, we have Week 11. We are 3 weeks away, ladies and gentlemen, from the fantasy football playoffs. It is crunch time. And joining us, Mike.
You need help pronouncing this last name too? Because I made sure to get the pronunciation.
I got it.
Okay, let's see.
Fiella.
Very good.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Mike Fiella.
Fiella, yep.
Of the Fantasy Football Intervention. He will be joining us next week for our Week 11 preview. Be sure to join us for that, and be sure to join us on Saturday as well, 11 a.m. Eastern, where all three of myself, Josh, and Ryan's beautiful and also ugly faces will be joined by the one, the only, the lovely Faith, as long as she is not passed out on her couch from election season. We will see you guys on Saturday. Thank you.